with dealers with center consoles to Wave Runners and more. Free seminars by Jenny Ackerman, Captain Steve Spagnolo, and more. Plus a Yeti 65 cooler giveaway each day. Doors open at 9 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, January 6th and 7th. Admission is just $10 for adults, $3 for kids 6 to 13, and under 5 is free. Visit FishingExpoWildwood.com, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, Sixers, oh, baby, and Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now, live in the Matt Blatt Kia studios, here is Josh Hennig.
Happy New Year, everyone. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. What a wild football weekend it was. Of course, we will get into the Eagles, what is wrong with the Birds, and the state of the NFL after the busy weekend. Also, I'll give you my thoughts and reactions on the college football semifinals yesterday as, man, talk about two games that put a lot of the NFL to shame. You know, it's yesterday was one of those days where after you were done watching Michigan pull away from Alabama and Washington beat Texas, you walked away almost exhausted. Like you were ready for bed. You didn't want to even sit up anymore. It's just so much going on with those two games. So we'll get into that as well this hour. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Your DMs is the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. So let's get into what does all of this mean after the Eagles' pathetic, shocking, heartbreaking loss, whatever we want to phrase it as, to the Cardinals on Sunday. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press will join us coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. So you and me until Rob joins us, and then we'll finish out the hour with your texts at 609-403-0973. Sixers basketball tonight, don't forget, at 7 p.m. right here on your home for the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. Well, it may or may not have been a good thing that we were not on the radio yesterday and we had bowl games all day long, because I walked away from the Eagles game not just disappointed, but incredibly annoyed at the Eagles, because that was a game that you're supposed to win. Good teams beat teams like that. So just by process of elimination, the Eagles are not a good football team anymore to me. I use the GIF on my Twitter account at Josh Hennig, or X, or whatever we're calling it now, where I use the line from the show Arrow, "You have failed this city." For everyone who ever watched the show, the premise of the show was, Oliver Queen was a rich guy who was a spoiled brat. He gets stranded on an island in the middle of nowhere, has to learn to survive on his own, and 5 years later is found returned to his hometown, and he's basically a changed man. And he leans into his old persona to cover up to the fact that he lives as a vigilante at night, where he goes around, hunts down bad people. If he deems they have failed the city, well, he either puts them down or puts them in jail, right? And all I could hear was, Oliver Queen yelling, "You have failed this city," at the end of the game, because Philadelphia's defense has now for 3 straight games completely and utterly collapsed. This is not just a very recent thing. Ever since Matt Patricia took over this defense, they're allowing 22.6 points per game in the second half. If you were wondering, in 3 games, they are allowing an average of 4 points per game in the first half. That is an 18-point difference from the first half to the second half. How does that even happen? Remember, This Eagles team was a team that couldn't start games quickly, and they had to finish games, and that's how they won a lot of games. Well, in the last 3 games, the Eagles' offense is scoring 17 points per game in the first half. That means that the Eagles, just by pure math, are plus 13 in the first half of games, and they are minus 12 in the second half of games. So how did the Eagles go from the team that was making adjustments in the first half of the year that is now incapable of finishing games in the second half? Well, my perspective is that I think it's because other teams like the 49ers have accused the Eagles, have figured them out. And what teams have done is they have targeted the Eagles secondary. The Eagles secondary is playing so poorly that Chris Long said this on the Greenlight podcast this week.
This defensive front, I feel bad for them because they're actually a strength on most teams. They're not who they were last year. It's the compounding effect of, the back end being and not being able to stop the run with a light box anymore because the backers are so bad.
The backers are so bad, he says, that it doesn't even matter who the defensive front is. And this is what I was talking with somebody about Sunday night when I was out and about, okay? I talked about this on Sunday, and that was you cannot expect any pass rush to get to the quarterback if you don't cover up the back end of the defense. I don't understand how in any universe you can expect this team to get a pass rush when the defense has a set of defensive backs who either are not doing their job, which is part of the problem, okay? But it's also because the play caller, first Sean Desai and now Matt Patricia, are allowing this defense to hang so far off of the receivers. They're giving them so much cushion that you're letting solid NFL players beat you. It's not like you're getting torched by some of the best receivers in the NFL the last 3 weeks. When the Seahawks burned you down the sideline, it was their number 3 receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba, that torched James Bradbury. And why did he torch James Bradbury? Because the Seahawks realized the Eagles were playing man defense. What is James Bradbury not good at? Man defense. He is a very good zone corner, not a good man corner. So what did they do? They sent Jackson Smith-Njigba right at him. They placed their best receiver, DK Metcalf, away from Smith-Njigba. So Smith-Njigba would be matched up on Bradbury one-on-one. And the Seahawks just knew that if it was a foot race, their guy was going to win. When the Giants almost beat the Eagles last week, what did they do? They put their best receiver, Darius Slayton, in multiple situations where he could burn the Eagles receivers. And instead of the Eagles making adjustments, they just let it happen. And then this week, another household name torched the Eagles, Greg Dortch. And listen, for as much as that guy's name is funny to say, Greg Dortch shouldn't be dominating you. Trey McBride had 6 catches in the game, and probably 4 of those 6 were failed coverages, letting the guy get open. We were so worried this year about the Eagles' offense that we forgot to ask questions about Philadelphia's defense. And as Tim Hasselbeck said, maybe the defensive coordinator change was not a good idea.
And I just wonder a little bit, look, they were 10-3 when they made a coordinator change. It's almost like it's maybe created more doubt on that side of the ball by making a move. And so it's hard to find a spot defensively where you can look at them and say, yeah, I think they're getting better and they're trending in the right direction defensively.
They're not trending in the right direction defensively. They're 1-2 since Matt Patricia took over. 1-2. Philadelphia, while they're averaging 26 points per game, their defense in the last 3 weeks has allowed 22 points per game just in the second half. So when you break it down, Philadelphia's defense is failing the fan base. They're failing the organization. And we are going to get to the point where we're going to have a conversation this offseason about who on earth should be the coordinators in Philadelphia. Because as of right now, with the offense's incapability of scoring consistently in the second half of games, with the defense's inability to stop anyone in the second half of games, what do you do with this team? Sure, you can retool the roster in the offseason, but how much of this is coaching and how much of this is players? Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Danny HC says, no, I have an endless count when the pass rush gets there but can't finish the sack. Well, you may have an endless count, Danny HT, but the reality is that on the field, it doesn't matter. If you're not finishing the job, then your secondary has to do their part of the job. And more often than not, guys like Kyler Murray and Tyrod Taylor and Drew Lock have had plenty of time. Dak Prescott. You're giving these guys all the time in the world to find guys open. And yes, Kyler Murray, Tyrod Taylor, Dak Prescott, they're all athletic enough to get away from the pass rush. So some of it has to do with how you're scheming the defense. Look, when you lost Javon Hargrave, you lost a huge part of this defense. And while you replaced him with Jalen Carter's a rookie. You're asking a rookie to be able to execute at the level of a 30-year-old veteran. And the reality is the Eagles' defense has gotten old. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, they are all over 30 years old. Meanwhile, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, T.J. Edwards, Marcus Epps, and Javon Hargrave are all 30 years old and younger. None of them are over 30. Hargrave is 30. But Epps, Edwards, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson were all in their 20s. You let the youth leave this team. You brought back the veterans, and Howie Roseman did the exact thing he said he would never do again. Howie Roseman said, though, the reason why the Eagles never got back to the Super Bowl after 2017 the first time was because he made the mistake when believing that the window is going to be open, that they signed their veterans to long-term deals that handcuff them. That's what Howie said. What did Howie do? He made the same mistake again. He leaned into the older players, and now those older players are failing this organization. You're asking young players, an undrafted free agent Eli Ricks, a late-round draft pick in Kelee Ringo. You're asking a mid-round pick in Sidney Brown. You're asking an undrafted guy in Reed Blankenship. You're asking guys you signed off the street, like Zach Cunningham, Shaq Leonard. You're asking rookies like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith to fill the void that they should have never have been asked to fill. And now you're going into the final week of the season knowing that you need to beat the Giants, not just because you need to get a win under your belt, but to show the rest of the NFL you're not a bunch of pushovers. Rob Maaddi covers the NFL for the Associated Press. We'll talk to him more about it next. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles finish up the regular season this Sunday in New York against the Giants.
Fires, and it's incomplete. The Eagles take over on down. That was you.
Eagles radio network coverage begins at 3 p.m. Merrill and Mike call all the action starting at 4:25. This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station. Brought to you by
GMS Law. Make the right call with 4 convenient locations to serve you and at gmslaw.com. Boardwalk Honda. Shop our lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas online at boardwalkhonda.com. The Fan Zone at Sun Valley Pools. Unique fan gear and gifts for every fan of every team. Cape Regional Health System. Your healthcare partner for a healthier life in Cape May County. Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Choose better banking. And South Jersey Gas.
97.3 ESPN FM is your official home in South Jersey for Eagles football.
a healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Get to What? Kia during the season of giving back sales event. You'll save thousands with 0% financing, 0 down payments, or 0 payments until next March on every clearly marked new Kia. Like the all-new Kia Forte LXS, just $19,999. Why would you buy a used vehicle when you can get a brand new Kia with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty for under $20,000? Even if you think you're currently stuck in a longer lease, we want to get you released, and only MetLife Kia has a 4-day love your leave it return policy. Plus, you can drive with 0 down and 0 payments until March of next year on every new Kia in stock. So come get your new Kia Forte for under $20,000. But when they're gone, they're gone.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
With approved credit and all qualified credit and payment offers can't be combined. Go to MetLifeKiaNJ.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF at $27.78 per thousand for 36 months. Rebates and incentives to dealer expires 1/2/24. MetLife Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, on Route 37 in Toms River.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppables in wash scent beads.
Oh, not this song again.
Hello, Sarah. Real quick, if you had to choose, would you listen to elevator music all day or deal with payroll compliance?
Oh, payroll compliance for sure.
Wait, really?
Staying compliant is so much easier with Gusto. Gusto automatically calculates my taxes and files with all the right agencies for me.
That actually sounds great.
Hold up. Can Gusto help my small business with compliance too?
Of course they can.
Choose payroll compliance without the ups and downs. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, during Staples Print Big Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, use save. But if you print at Staples, use save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more. Up to $100. Ends 2/10. Visit staples.com/print for details.
All of us at First Bank of Sea Isle City wish all of you, our loyal customers, a safe, happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year. We offer warm and personalized service for every banking need, including home mortgages, home equity loans, and construction loans. We are truly dedicated to helping you achieve your goals and making New Year's dreams come true. Happy New Year from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We're here for you today, tomorrow, and always.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Talk more about the NFL right now. Go get back to your text in just a bit. George, Summers Point, Dean and EHT, Jeff in Ocean City, all you guys at 609-403-0973. But joining us again this week, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press covers the entire NFL, senior NFL writer. He is back with us for another week. Rob, first of all, Happy New Year. How you doing, my friend?
Happy New Year, Josh. Doing well, man.
I mean, I'm sure you're doing better than Eagle fans at least are. Let's start with, yeah, exactly. Let's start with this, Rob. I went and double checked the numbers myself because I couldn't believe it when I looked at it. But so under Matt Patricia, the Eagles are allowing 22.6 points per game in the second half of games. Not the game, Rob, the second half of games. They have allowed a total of 12 points in the first half in 3 games, but they're getting destroyed in the second half. So why on earth do we have a new guy calling plays if he's this bad in the second half of games?
I think the feeling, Josh, isn't how bad the play calling is, but the fact that they don't have the pieces that they need to succeed defensively. And I know the numbers look different since Sean Desai was relieved of his play calling duties. They're missing a couple players in Slay and Zach Cunningham, but I don't know that Nick Sirianni at this point, after you make that move, what do? Do you go back like, hey, Sean, we took your play calling away, but Matt Patricia clearly isn't working out. So can you call the plays again? Like it's a bad situation and everything. Like I can't fathom how this team was 10-1 at one point, and here we are talking at 11-5. I'm watching the news conference yesterday, and all I see is I'm watching it on Twitter, which may be a bad idea rather than watching it any other way. But I'm enjoying doing that because, like, you get to see the interaction with the fans, what they're saying. And then I'm like, wow, I didn't know it was that. It was like, fire Sirianni, fire Brian Johnson, fire like that's the anger level. And then I stop and think about it, and I go, well, this is a team that's still headed to the playoffs in an NFC where even though the 49ers are the number 1 seed and they beat you up pretty bad, they just got beat up a couple of weeks ago by Baltimore. You figure things out and somehow get on a roll. Anything can happen, but then the defense is playing poorly. The offense, clearly, it's been a whole year-long process of seeing them not where they were last year. A.J. Brown's frustration is obvious. He won't even talk to the media anymore because he's so upset with it. They're a mess, and that's unfortunate because they have talent. Now, there's some talent that's missing, and then there's some talent. There's some decisions that were made in positions that were overlooked, and I don't know how you gauge the blame meter for this season, and I think you have to let it play out to see where they finish and how it goes. But how much is allocated to Howie? How much goes to the coaching staff? How much goes to the players themselves, Josh? I think everybody's got a hand in this.
Well, it's interesting you said that because one of the things that Chris Long brought up on his podcast, I played the audio earlier, Rob, is he thinks part of the problem is a personnel issue. He thinks that, Howie has swung and missed a couple times here. So, and then that's a former player who played for the Eagles saying that. You know how Chris Long is, he speaks his mind. So, yeah. I mean, is there something to be said with the fact that Howie and the Eagles organization miscalculated on this roster?
Oh, absolutely. And Chris Long was one of those swings and swinging a long drive. It was a home run for Howie. This one, some of the decisions, like look back at James Bradbury and how he's played this season, giving him that money. Darius Slay at one point thought he was going to be released, and then they found a way to make it work and bring him back. And obviously he's injured right now, but before he got hurt, he wasn't playing that well. And then some of the decisions at the linebacker spot, that's just been the way the Eagles have viewed that position for a going back to Andy Reid and how they handled Jeremiah Trotter. So I certainly feel like you give Howie his flowers when they go to the Super Bowl last year and they make tremendous moves, and Jalen Hurts is the second round pick, and you're having success with a quarterback on a second round pick contract, but then you had to pay him, and then you had to make other decisions, and then some of the decisions that they made haven't panned out. So yeah, I agree with Chris Long for sure. I think some of this is certainly a personnel issue.
You mentioned about how the fans are talking about firing people, Rob. For you, when you look at the Eagles, what is a reasonable move for them this offseason? Because to me, I don't think you can fire Sirianni. This guy has had more success in his first 3 years than any other head coach that I can research. I can't find a guy, not Buddy Ryan, not Andy Reid. Andy Reid was a loser his first year. Siri got to the postseason his first year. Like, it's what he has done in 3 years is absolutely unprecedented in this organization's history.
And I don't know how there's any justification for that. Win or lose, they're 34-16 in a regular season right now with Sirianni. I anticipate a win over the Giants unless the Cowboys are blowing out the Commanders and you take everybody out. And then so either way, he's almost at a 667 right now, winning percentage or better. It's going to be that to me, like you can't move on from Sirianni. However, the one concern is if there's a fractured locker room, and obviously I'm not in the locker room like I used to be for 2 decades. So I can only go off of what I'm hearing from some people. And then some of the reports that you see, and I've taken issue with some reports in the past. So I'm not going to instantly just give all credence and credibility to any report without doing my own homework on it. But when you see some kind of, like A.J. Brown's clearly frustrated, and you see that there's some sort of missing. And when you see a player like A.J., a team leader, frustrated, when you see a guy like Darius Slay, was it his podcast? I don't know whose podcast, talk about how well he played when they got their butts whipped. It
was Slay's podcast, yeah.
Right? Like that is a me first attitude. A.J. Brown wants the ball. He wants to be the guy who helps them win. But then there's the whole sideline issue with Jalen Hurts. Like, if you got me first guys on your team and they're talented and they're Pro Bowl and they're all pro caliber, that can help you win a ton of games and get you to a certain point. But I don't think you can win championships. And maybe there's some sort of messaging that is not being – that Nick is missing. If you got a bunch of guys who aren't in it, his preaching togetherness, stick together is missing the point. If you have star caliber players who are exhibiting characteristics of a selfish player, you can't have that. And that's a problem. And if that permeates the locker room, there are other guys in there that resent that. I've seen that happen, Josh. They become resentful of, he's playing selfish. He's playing for his next contract. He's in it for him. It's not a team thing. And my concern would be, is Nick losing the locker room and not sending out proper messaging, because you already see 2 of the top players kind of giving off that vibe of selfishness.
Of course, A.J. Brown, by the way, just tweeted out a little bit earlier, he will speak to the media tomorrow.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so now he's not just going to speak to the media, Rob. He's telling the world he's going to speak to the media. So yeah. It's almost like a TO vibe going on there. Like you're announcing to the world that you're gonna speak and everybody's gonna show up
Well,
and
you
be
get
there.
fined for not doing it, and it's a stupid way to take a fine. Just show up, and if you don't want to throw anybody under the bus, do a Marshawn and say, "I'm just here so I don't get fined,"
Right.
or just keep the answers short, like Belichick. We're on to the Giants. We're on to whatever. You know, it's not that hard. And maybe it is for some guys, and some guys do want to see their name. I don't know. I don't know what motivates guys to throw teammates or coaches under the bus. You got to be careful with that, because at some point that's going to come back and bite you in the butt.
Well, I mean, poor Jordan Mailata, he's the one getting all the questions because half the locker room doesn't want to talk to the media, and he's trying to answer the best he can. And, he's not even American, Rob. I mean, come on.
and he does a fantastic job, too. And, Jason Kelsey's always accountable. He's always at his locker room. Brandon Graham's another one, and Fletcher Cox. Like, you have a great core of veteran players there who are accountable and who do know how to avoid controversial statements. And I think there's a disconnect if you have a few guys who are willing to speak out, and that, tomorrow I think AJ Brown's going to be must listen in the hopes of, if you're an Eagles fan, you better hope he doesn't say anything stupid to further fracture what could be a divided room.
So with AP senior NFL writer Rob Maaddi joining us here on Game Night. Josh Hennig hanging out with you guys on 97.3 ESPN. Follow Rob on Twitter X platform at Rob Maaddi. Rob, big picture for the Eagles. That loss takes them basically out of the NFC East unless the Cowboys somehow lose the Commanders next week, which it's the NFL. We've seen weird stuff happen before, right? But the likelihood is that the Eagles are going to be on the road in the postseason. So I ask you, are the Eagles just another postseason team now? Because we look around the postseason teams, they're probably not even a top 4, top 5 team at this point.
They're not just another postseason team to me, Josh, for this reason. They beat Kansas City on the road. They beat Buffalo. They beat Dallas. They beat Miami. So, and all of this was before they lost to the Cowboys and the 49ers and the Seahawks and the Cardinals. I understand that. But the same team that beat those other playoff-bound teams, it still exists. So if they can find a way, and it's going to be a big-time coaching effort from Sirianni and the entire staff to get these guys to play back to that level, which even during those wins, the Cowboys were self-destructed, or they would have won that game. So there was, Buffalo, Kansas City was a drop, MVS drop away from beating the Eagles, and Buffalo a missed field goal or whatever it was. They could have lost all those games. The path now, I believe, isn't as difficult to advance if that matchup is. I'm assuming Tampa Bay is going to beat lowly Carolina. I don't know if they're going to win one for Tepper and his $300,000 fine, and the Panthers are going to, I can't imagine. So I would anticipate the Buccaneers winning that game, and the Eagles. We've seen the Eagles need more stuff. Go back to 2008 where they needed, I think it was the Raiders to beat the Buccaneers or the Bears to lose, whatever, and all that stuff happened. I think Dallas is going to win, and the Eagles are going to have to go in as a 5-4 matchup. Up until last week, Tampa Bay started to look like a team that can have some success in the first round. And then they reverted back to being the Buccaneers of the midway through the season, and what Todd Bowles' teams have come to look like, and what we know of Bowles and his teams. And they just stunk it up against the Saints. Now, the Saints have always had their number, but they stunk it up. That's a very winnable game for the Eagles. Coming into Tampa Bay, kind of a revenge from 2 years ago. They beat them earlier in the season. You get away from the Philly Boo Birds for a little bit. You get a little bit of 75-degree weather, and you go out there and you get right and you build some confidence. And then you go into the next matchup, and it could potentially be San Francisco. It could potentially be Dallas. Probably could it be? No, it can't be Detroit as a 3.
Can't be Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, 5. Well, yeah, I guess it could be anything. Yeah, it could be Detroit, because Dallas, if they lose to the 7 seed, and it's whoever it is, it's going to be a tough matchup on the road. However, if it's a Cowboys matchup of all 3, Niners, Cowboys, Lions, I think they could beat Dallas on the road if they play a great game. I think they could beat the Lions if they play their best game. Unless San Francisco has significant injuries, I can't see them beating San Francisco.
By the way, you mentioned Tepper. I got to touch on you with him because so he gets paid fined $300,000, considering his net worth is about $20 billion. That's the equivalent of you and I getting fined like $5-10.
So Josh, I wanted to figure that out actually, but my calculator on my iPhone won't allow me to put in $300,000 divided by $20.6 billion. Like there's this, it just stops. Have you ever had that problem when you're putting in too many zeros and the calculator on the iPhone won't allow? Because I was trying to figure out what percentage of his net worth is it, so then I can relate it to mine. And then I saw someone tweeting like it's 0.00015% or whatever it is. It's like a drop in a bucket for us. It's like $100 for us to pay. So it's like a parking ticket or something like that. I thought it should have been more. And then even worse is his non-apology.
It's not an apology. He's like, I should have let the security people handle it.
Yeah, I mean, what is that? That's saying somebody else did something wrong, and I tried to throw. Yeah, I am deeply passionate about this team and regret my behavior on Sunday. I should have let NFL stadium security handle any issues that arose. I respect the NFL's code of conduct and accept the league's discipline for my behavior. That's not even an apology. That's nonsense. No. That's garbage right there out of David Tepper.
I mean, is Tepper on his way to becoming the George Steinbrenner of the NFL?
With minus the success. At least Steinbrenner mixed in a lot of wins, a lot of play. How many World Series did he? I'm sure he won some World Series. He won World Series with. Did he win with Billy Martin? I know he had a win in.
Well, they won in the 70s with him, and then they went through that horrible.
And obviously they had that stretch with Torrey.
90s. Yeah.
They had the stretch with Torrey, and they won.
But I think, if I remember correctly, I think it was it took him 4 years to even get to that point, because when he bought the team from CBS back, I think it was 1970 or whatever. It took them about 4 or 5 years to get to the World Series, though. So
Steinbrenner was a whole lot more likable, though, I think, than David Tepper is. And my Steinbrenner history is more from George Costanza and Seinfeld, even though that was just a spoof. that made Steinbrenner a whole lot more likable.
So you're saying David Tepper needs to go on a sitcom for a while?
Somebody's got to make fun of him that way, and then maybe he'll become a whole lot more likable than he is right now.
I understand. I totally get it. I totally understand, Rob. And I know you're going to say to me, and everybody who I know is going to tell me the same thing. People are going to text me on my phone personally. Who would want to work for that guy? I know it's only 1 in 32 jobs. Everybody wants these jobs, but still, like, if you have the choice, do you really want to work for this guy who he runs through people like laundry? Yeah, it's 3 head coaches and 3 interim coaches in 5.5 or going on 6 years. So I don't believe that that's going to be an attractive job for anyone who has a lot of options. I think the Panthers are going to end up having to give that job or hiring someone who, kind of like Sirianni when he came to the Eagles, nobody was beating on his door. That was the only interview that he got for a head coaching position. I don't know, if Brian Johnson had success with the Eagles, that would have been all right, but he's not having success. And you talk about Ben Johnson from Detroit, he's going to have some opportunities. I thought Dave Canales from Tampa Bay, although last week kind of took a dip, he might have some opportunities. But I think that's the route that they're going to have to go, that they're going to have to look at somebody who doesn't have too many. It's not going to be at all an attractive position. Now, you do have Bryce Young, who was a number 1 overall pick, but there's not a lot of talent around him, Josh. So that's going to be interesting. I can't imagine Bill Belichick will want to go there, although Bill may not have too many options himself when he parts ways with the New England Patriots. My working theory is that if Bill and the Patriots part ways, he's going to Washington. That's my working theory. I still like the Chargers because they need to sell tickets and they got Justin Herbert. I think Harbaugh goes to the Chargers. And Harbaugh's agent, Don Yee's got he's got some great he's out on the West Coast. He's got some great West Coast connections. He's deeply rooted in the NFL. Obviously, he was Tom Brady's agent, Jimmy Garoppolo, Sean Payton. So
if Jim Harbaugh wants to go to the NFL, I think he'll have his options.
Well, my theory is that Harbaugh is going to be a Pete Carroll. He's going to win a championship, try to win a championship this year. Don't want to crown him before he won it, okay? But he's going to try to win a championship this year. He gave Michigan what they've been wanting, and then he'll walk away before the NCAA goes nuts on the program, like Pete Carroll did. That's what Pete did at USC. He got out of USC before things got real bad.
Yeah, he's got to finish the job, though. He's got to finish the job against Washington next Monday, right? Monday night?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's got to finish that job to paint that rosy picture.
He does. Before I let you go, Rob, speaking of football, I want to go to the AFC real quick with you because this AFC playoff picture could be turned completely upside down because there's a chance the Bills can still win the AFC East. There's a chance that the Chiefs could drop down to the 4th slot of those playoff standings. So for you, what is the scenario you're looking forward to most for NFL Week 18 in the AFC?
It's the Bills-Miami game. You look at that Bills-Miami game, and Buffalo can either be a 2 seed, they could be a 6, they could be a 7, they could be out of the playoffs entirely if they lose and some of the other teams that are in that position win. Miami goes from playing for the number 1 seed last week, getting destroyed by Baltimore, to now playing to avoid the 6th seed, which is wild to me. That you can go from 1 seed 1 week to 6th seed the next if you lose, and that's what's going to happen. I actually think Buffalo is going to win that game. Bradley Chubb was a horrible loss, horrible injury for Miami. I think they're reeling. Buffalo's got that playoff experience. They're tested, and I know they've been really an up and down Jekyll and Hyde type of team this year, and that game's on the road. It's in Miami, but man, how many teams have we seen win divisions and be a number 2 seed? They gave up 56 to Baltimore, 48 earlier, scored 70, I know, but I mean, they can get destroyed at times. And I think that to me is obviously the biggest matchup. Jacksonville's got to win to get in and get the AFC South. If not, there's some things that they got to do. The Tampa matchup, they got to win to get in. And of course, from a local perspective, you want to see how Dallas, Washington plays out, and the Eagles and the Giants. But Bills, it's cool that the Bills-Dolphins game is going to be the night game. That's going to be the one that obviously the biggest marquee matchup of the weekend.
There's a part of me that just hopes Buffalo wins the division just for the conversation to slow down about Josh Allen and the turnovers. Like people act like, Rob, I know I said one more phrase, but I got to ask you about this. And you and I have had this conversation on and off the air about how people perceive athletes is ridiculous sometimes. Like people act like because Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts have turnovers, they're like the worst of the worst. And it's like people forget that like John Elway threw tons of interceptions, like Brett Favre, Eli Manning. Like there's a whole laundry list of dudes. Joe Namath has more interceptions than touchdowns in his NFL career, but he's in the Hall of Fame. He's Cool Joe, right? So like people act like these turnovers, interceptions are the end all be all for these conversations. So there's a selfish part of me that wants to see Josh Allen win the division just to kind of, give the proverbial bird to people,
Yeah, and I agree with you there. And then Peyton Manning, look at all the 28 picks, maybe his rookie year. Like you had guys who committed, and obviously it's a different era. Passing quarterbacks now have an easier route to passing than they don't get hit. Receivers can't get touched, and the completion percentages are all in the 70s now, and before it used to be barely 60s. And it's easier for QBs now, yet still, when a ball pops, when Patrick Mahomes throws to his receiver and it hits him right in the hands and it pops out and goes to and turns into a pick six, that's not his fault. When Jalen Hurts throws a ball and the receiver falls down and it's returned the other way, that's not his fault. Or when you throw a Hail Mary and that gets picked, obviously, and then the turnovers on fumbles when a blind side, you get blasted from the blind side because your running back missed the block and the ball pops out. Well, who the heck is going to hang on to that ball when you get hit by a 300-pound edge rusher coming at you at 100 miles an hour? So I think it's overrated, some of those turnovers. And I do think Josh Allen is one of the better quarterbacks, if not top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And I will overlook those turnovers because of all of the great things that he can do on the field for the Buffalo Bills. He carries that team running the ball, and at his size and what he can do, and not only obviously running the ball, but throwing the football.
He's Rob Maaddi at Rob Maaddi on the Twitter X platform, the AP Pro Football Podcast each week. Like, subscribe, share where you get your podcasts, and Faith on the Field Saturday and Sunday mornings right here on 97.3 ESPN. Rob, great stuff today. Talk soon.
Thanks, Josh. Have a great week.
You too. We'll get back to the text board coming up next. 609-403-0973 and your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Maxey, triple team to Beverly, the corner for three. It's good. Patrick Beverly, corner three.
It's Sixers Bulls tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible. So Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-294-8831 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-294-8831. That's 800-294-8831. What do you have to lose? Call 800-294-8831. Again, 800-294-8831.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I was tired of feeling so bloated, so I tried Align Bloating Relief Plus Food Digestion. It's a daily probiotic that works naturally with your gut to help relieve occasional bloating and contains vitamin B12 to promote the breakdown of food into cellular energy. Align has been the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand for 10 years in a row.
Join the Align Probiotic Healthy Gut Team Up and get $5 off your first month of Align. Go to AlignProbiotics.com to join the Healthy Gut Team Up today.
Hey, trailblazing business owners, tired of blending into the background? It's time to turn up the volume and make your mark with a podcast that screams, "We're here, and we mean business." Podcast Plus gives your brand the opportunity to join the podcast revolution. It's time to show that you and your company are the experts by creating engaging content that captivates and entertains. Head to mynewpodcast.com and connect with experts to create a podcast that will allow you to connect with your audience on a personal level so you can break through all the noise. Plus, we offer professional script writing, pre- and post-production, graphic design experts for a captivating page, and distribution on all major platforms. All this produced from our state-of-the-art studios. Sign up today at mynewpodcast.com, or for more information and to get a free consultation with a podcast expert, call 888-324-0035. That's 888-324-0035. Enhance your brand with your own podcast today and reach new clients 24/7. Call 888-324-0035. That's 888-324-0035. Or sign up now at mynewpodcast.com.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at the 20s Italian Bistro for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Get some of your text messages before we get out of here. 609-403-0973. George at Summers Point says, hey, Josh, in your opinion, how much of this defensive collapse is Sirianni's fault, and how much blame do you place on him for the offense for Sirianni as well? We'd like to hear your opinion on those issues, George at Summers Point. I don't blame Sirianni too much for the defense because I don't think Sirianni acted unilaterally to change the defensive play caller. I generally believe that Sirianni is a extension of the front office. I think that he has this job because he is in lockstep with Howie and the owner, Jeffrey Lurie. So I don't think the defensive coordinator move was initially his fault. I think the problem with the defense are personnel related. It's also a little bit coaching related as well, but Sirianni has to coach the defense. Now the offense, I think he deserves more blame for that because Sirianni says it's his offense and Brian Johnson is calling his offensive playbook. So, if there are frustrated players like A.J. Brown offensively, frustrated guys like Jordan Mailata offensively, then, yeah, you could blame Sirianni for sure for some of that because if he's supposedly in those meetings, having those conversations about the game plan, he has to realize, it can't just be me, that they're averaging 17 points per game in the first half, only 10 in the second half of games. You're averaging 2 less points per game than last year's team. You're averaging fewer yards, rushing yards per game than last year's team. There's so many numbers that not just me, we all know it. So if Sirianni doesn't figure that out, then, well, a bigger problem than we thought. Biz and Absika says, hey, Josh, it doesn't matter who is coaching this defense. The defensive backs aren't good. You're playing with 3 bad linebackers. You could hide 1, but not 3. And the guys up front look really tired. It's been a disappointing year. Biz, I think the tired point we brought up is very important because, like I said, I think this team is getting old. I think it's getting a roster that is aged not very well. They have not aged like a fine wine. They've aged like bad milk, basically. They've gone rotten way too quick. Jeff in Ocean City says, rest everyone versus the Giants, lock into the 5 seed, let Dallas win against the Commanders on Sunday. That is one theory. You could rest guys this Sunday. We know Devonta Smith has the mid-ankle sprain, so is it a scenario where you turn to the players to be like, look, guys, we're just going to mail this final game in? But is that a good way to go about it, though? Don't you want to go out there and compete and find a way to get a win and get the bad, bitter taste out of your mouth, to let it sing in your mouth for 2 weeks? Danny HC says firing Sirianni would be ridiculous. Remember, he blew away Jeffrey Lurie in his interview. Got to give him at least 2 more years, says Danny HC. I don't think it's 2 more years. I think definitely 1 more year. I think the Eagles organization is going to chalk this year up to just things that were out of Sirianni's control, from injuries to roster building. I think the Eagles want to give 1 more go at this at minimum. Now, they might make some coaching changes. I don't know who the defensive coordinator is going to be next year. The offensive coordinator might be different next year. We don't know all the details of why some of these guys got jobs. Were they Was Sirianni told, hey, Desai and Johnson going to be your coordinators? Was it Sirianni's idea and the Eagles signed off on it? We don't know all the details. What we do know is that Doug is not here anymore because Doug Peterson wanted certain coaches on his staff, and the Eagles ownership said no. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Sixers basketball next on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles finish up the regular season this Sunday in New York against the Giants.
Fires, and it's incomplete. The Eagles take over on down. That was you.
Eagles radio network coverage begins at 3 p.m. Merrill and Mike call all the actions 4:25. This Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station. Brought to you by
GMS Law. Make the right call. 4 convenient locations to serve you and at gmslaw.com. Boardwalk Honda. Shop our lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas online at boardwalkhonda.com. The Fan Zone at Sun Valley Pools. Unique fan gear and gifts for every fan of every team. Eighth Regional Health System. Your healthcare partner for a healthier life in Cape County. Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Choose better banking. And South Jersey Gas.
97.3 ESPN FM is your official home in South Jersey for Eagles football.